When talking about animation on film, what name comes to mind, and why did you say Disney? Well, it's because they have the most sensible business strategy. Entertain you as a child so that you'll associate their films with some of their happier moments in your life. Then, once you're older, buy every known piece of media property on Earth until the only thing left is the single entity known as the mouse. Safe to say their marketing strategy has worked out just fine. No matter how many opponents entered the arena, Disney would always end up on top. And there were many studios who put up some damn good fights. Then,
here comes a new challenger!
Enter DreamWorks Pictures, one of the few studios who have put up a really good, decent competition. What I think makes DreamWorks interesting as a studio is their ability to surprise you. You honestly never know what their next project is going to be. At one point, they could be making movies like Monsters vs. Aliens, and then you'll see a film like The Croods. They're also willing to take risks with their ideas. Megamind, for example, is one of the better deconstructionist takes on superheroes ever made, and How to Train Your Dragon is honestly one of my absolute favorite animated films ever. Wow, you took a really simple concept and made a fantastic franchise out of it. But we're not here to talk about those today. Our topic is Trolls. When I first heard about this movie, I really didn't know what to expect. It's a movie based on a toy that really didn't have a story. Not an impossible task, considering the Lego movie had come out 2 years prior, so I went in not expecting much. And I have to say, I was really caught off guard with what they did. With fun covers of memorable pop songs, the voice cast did a great job, especially Justin Timberlake as Branch, and the animation and character designs were very nice as well. It's not mind-blowing or anything I haven't seen before, but I did enjoy myself. So let's see what they did for their sequel, Trolls World Tour. Poppy, fresh off becoming queen after rescuing her village from the Bergens, finds out that her village isn't the only race, or... Wait, should I say race? I'll just go with type. Poppy finds out she isn't the only type of troll after getting a letter from Barb, queen of the rock trolls. Barb is on a quest to find the strings. What are the strings, you ask? Well, it's how the different types of trolls get their music. Queen Barb's goal is to use her world tour
He said it!
To steal them all and make every music rock music. So it's up to Poppy, Branch, and all of her friends to save music. I actually really dig the idea this movie has. It's simple but effective in expanding the world. But the question is, did the filmmakers take advantage of their story possibilities? Well, yes and no. While it started out simple, I think they just had too much going on in this film. I think a big problem with sequels is when they decide to go bigger and bigger and end up biting off more than they can chew. It happened to Riddick, it happened to The Kingsman, and it happened to The Trolls. When you decide to pack this much into a barely hour and 20 minutes, things are going to have to move fast, and the film has a problem of moving too fast and going too slow. It dwells on really unimportant things for no actual reason. Like 90% of the subplot with Cooper. While yes, it ends up going somewhere, they spend too much time on the unimportant aspects and then speed right past things we should see more of. A really seemingly important thing will happen, and then the film will suddenly cut to Cooper for no other reason than just to remind you that he exists. The film also tries to tackle way too much when it comes to an overall message that they want you to walk away with.
At first, the film tries to give you a narrative about listening to those around you without being so stubborn, but then it turns into a tale of victors being the ones who write the history books, and then it switches to a tale about being about friends blowing up at you when things don't go their way, but then it switches to an anthem about being who you are isn't tied to what you look like, and then all the music is metaphor for racism.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Seriously, movie, slow the hell down! You have enough to fill up a Christopher Nolan movie with how dense this could be. Maybe if they focused on one or two of these things, the film wouldn't feel like it's incomplete. But it does. Like, say you had a perfectly good-looking steak, but then you add 70 pounds of different seasonings on it and cook it well done. And you know what we do to them?
We ask them politely yet firmly to leave.
Well, even though the story is lacking, do the characters at least fare any better? I'll give you a hint.
Nope.
The characters really get the shaft in this movie, especially Poppy. It's like she doesn't remember anything that happened in the first movie besides the part where she helped save everyone. She completely regresses from the last film, and it's just straight up annoying sometimes with her blatant idiocy. I usually like the character type that they're going for with her. She's unrelentingly happy and tries to see the best in everyone no matter what. Those traits are both a blessing and a curse. Joy from Inside Out is a perfect example of how that character should be done. Usually the character sees the error of their ways and does what they can to fix the situation. And Poppy did that in the first movie. In this one, she actively makes things worse for the most part. I know that was all intentional, but it is a real disservice to what she learned at the end of the last movie. If anything, the first movie should have taught her to listen to Branch since he ended up being completely correct about everything. But instead, she disregards all of his concerns and thinks her way is the only way. The only redeeming thing about this turn for a character is that all the other characters actively call her out on her BS. Branch really does go in and eviscerate her for being a selfish prick. It was really refreshing for me to see that in a kid's movie. Hopefully in the next one she retains her knowledge. I also think that Barb is a very weak villain. I could see what they were trying to do with her, the misunderstood person who's doing what they think is right. She's basically the Trolls version of Thanos. I think if they had focused on her a bit more, maybe she would have turned out differently. That's also really disappointing to me because I loved the Bergens in the last movie, specifically King Gristle and the chef. They were really fun. Barb just comes off as wasted potential and, like many other elements of the film, underbaked. She's barely in the movie too. That also goes for the rest of the side characters as well. All of them just really felt like such a waste of time that could have gone to the main cast. The only side characters we really spend any time with are Cooper and Biggie. Biggie's only there to fill a half-baked message built in the middle of the story, and Cooper's only there to fill out a half-baked message built at the end of the story. It's like they had nothing to do for these characters but already paid the voice talent, so they just gave them random crap to do. The only side character that was worth anything was Hickory, but he gets tossed to the wayside really quickly as well. All in the service of adding more musical numbers. Are they at least good? Alright, finally something the movie did mostly right. I think the song choices for the Paw Patrols were fine. It's basic pop music you'd expect them to sing, and sung pretty well enough that you'd have a fun time with it. What they didn't get was a better variety of sounds with different music genres. You have a very broad palette to work with, and you basically use about 2 songs from each genre for the most part. Hell, classical doesn't even get a single song, it's just one reference to Beethoven's Fifth. Country and electronic get like 1 song, and funk gets 2, but both of them are originals. You also get 2 short blurbs from K-pop and reggaeton. The only genre that gets any real play is rock, with about 5 songs, most of them being classic rock songs that most general audiences will be familiar with. You know, Rock You Like a Hurricane, Barracuda, Crazy Train, all that kind of stuff. I think they just used too small a number of songs to give the credence to the supposed main theme of the film, which is that all music is valid, and it makes us all individual and unique. If it really was that valid and makes everyone unique, why would you not show off more of it? I mean, I'll put it this way. You have George Clinton, the leader of one of the best funk band units ever, Parliament Funkadelic, and you don't use a single song from either group?
Whack.
I also think that the original songs they added aren't as good as last time. The 2 songs they do introduce don't have the same impact in the story or in real life as Can't Stop the Feeling. I mean, the song is just pure greatness, and it's really disappointing they didn't even get to a similar level as that one. The covers this time I do think were used well, and were still fun, but I just think they didn't do enough for me in my opinion. If there was anything to look forward to with DreamWorks though, it is the animation and the character designs. Well, this is the department where the film really shines. The animation is just as good as it was in the first movie, and it's up to the usual standard that DreamWorks is known for. I think the animation in certain spots also has really good effects, especially when we visit Symphonyville and meet a talking flute. Just roll with it. Her frame rate is slightly slower, and she moves a little bit more choppy than the other characters on screen, giving a really cool contrast and making her feel different. The animators were also really willing to go out of their comfort zone and get some really weird, different types of animation styles and concepts in there. I mean, the scene where Poppy and Branch get hypnotized and go on a crazy drug trip, no, I'm not kidding, I'll be honest, made me laugh hard just because of how weird it is. The animation styles they used feels like something you'd see on Adult Swim or on a meme page. It's to me the most inspired moment of the entire film, and I think their willingness to be that strange shows so much potential for the future. Like, look at this! You could see the outline on him! Why is he green? Why is there a real person in this movie? I also think the designs for all the characters are done really well for the most part. The only real issue I have is that the other types of trolls kinda come off as stereotypes, especially the country trolls. Oh, and quick question speaking to their designs. Do the electronic trolls live underwater, or are they just fish-looking types? If so, how can they be above on the surface without any breathing devices? Also, where do K-pop and reggaeton fit in the categories? Like jazz I could see as an offshoot of classical, and yodeling I could see as an offshoot of country, but I straight up can't see where they're coming from. So like, are there more types of trolls out there? Or does all the music just fully exist in its own world? And is that why those weird creatures in the woods belt out Beastie Boys beats? And Wow, my god, I'm really overthinking a movie about tiny little monsters that live in the woods, sing music, and use their hair to swing on trees. I'm so lame, what am I doing with my damn life? Sorry, overall, I think this movie does have a lot of laughs to be had, and there are a lot of problems with it as well. Mostly the convoluted plot and the refusal to stick to a moral. Since I know they're making a third movie, hopefully they can take the lessons they learned from this one and make something better, and not just be okay. Now, this is just my takeaway. Kids are gonna love it though, I'm sure they already have since this movie has made a boatload of money already. I'm giving Trolls World Tour a 6 out of 10.